folks. It's your buddy Mike Messier. Always fun. So this is live. This is Tuesday night, 9:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, EDT. So tonight, earlier this evening, I saw Harry Potter. I'm going to crack this open if you don't mind. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of AZKABAN. I had to put the Wikipedia to get the title straight. This is the third, I believe, of the 8 currently released Harry Potter films. I have never seen these films in the theater except for the 7th one, part 1, which I basically slept through at the time. That's a funny story. I'll tell you some other time. So they're having this big re-release in the Cinemark Theater here. All 3 Cinemark theaters here in Jacksonville are re-releasing the Harry Potter movies, the first 8, back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And I have seen all 3 so far. So 3 down, 5 to go. This one is 2004. The kids are said to be 13 in this film. They look a lot older to me. I mean, they look, when the movie started, it seemed like Radcliffe was 16 or 17 years old. I mean, I'm just basing on, how I remember teenagehood and childhood 10 years ago, how big I felt, how big I was. These kids, they say they're 13. I don't really buy that. I think the actors were 14, 15, 16, but that's okay. That's filmmaking. That's what you do. I kind of felt like this movie, the special effects are great. Everyone's got their characters down. I can see where this thing was such a big deal and still is such a big deal. I can see why people love these movies. For me, I will be honest, it's getting to be a little bit much to watch these things, night after night. 2 hours and 25 minutes for this one. But I mean, that's the part of the fun, right? This is a test of endurance that I'm giving to myself. I'm learning a lot of stuff. There's a lot of good things in these movies. This one, it did start to feel like the proverbial 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on. And really, it wasn't the special effects or the creatures or the monsters or the spells that was getting to me this time. It's kind of like the human part of the story, which is typically like what I enjoy about movies is like the humanity of it. Even in a movie that I don't quite understand, like my original Dune 2 review, I had a hard time with that one, but there was some humanity towards the end in the marriage scene that I kind of connected with. In this one, it just seems like there's so much emphasis on Harry dealing with the death of his parents. I wonder why, was it just out of respect to the novels that they didn't do flashbacks? I'm just wondering, why couldn't we have seen some of these scenes that are kind of spoken of in exposition? Why not have good old-fashioned flashbacks? It would have given a couple of more actors, a chance to take up some screen time. I think the audience, at least myself, would have connected more with Harry's loss. Even though Harry, wasn't there for his parents' lives and their death, I think that it would be better for the audience to connect with the parents and this generation, like this older generation that's always saying how great Harry's dad was. He was kind of a loose cannon, and how his mom had the most beautiful eyes, and all these things about the folks. Why don't we see them? You know what I mean? That's a pet peeve of mine that I have with a lot of films, even some theater stuff, is like the missing character, the important character that you don't see. There's other films, there's other plays, other things that have done that. I always hate it. If you're going to have a character that's spoken of so many times, but they're dead, let's see their death or let's see their life. Give me something to grab onto. Just hearing other characters talk about the dead character, I can only go so far with that emotionally as an audience member. And like I said, it's not just the Harry Potter world, it's other stuff, stage plays. I went to see a stage play years ago that had I think opioid abuse was like the topic of the play, and there's like a main character who you don't see, who's like the opioid addict friend who dies, and that's like the big focus of the play. But the character was never in the play. So at the end of the play, they did like the whole audience reaction type of thing. And I raised my hand and I said, hey, I can't really connect with this character that everyone's grieving because I don't get to see him. Why don't you write him into the play? And they were all, get their panties in an uproar. They get their fucking theater tights in an uproar about it. But it's true. I mean, show me the fucking character. So anyway, also some themes, and look, maybe this is just my own, sensibilities getting warped by our modern 2024 paranoid eyes, but just it did seem like a little bit too much of these adults. The various teachers, the various Hogwarts administrators are having like kind of these, I wouldn't say intimate moments, but kind of secret hush hush conversations with these children. It's starting to feel a little creepy, to be quite honest with you. It's starting to feel a little too familiar. Like every adult in this goddamn movie seems to be depending on the kids to save their life or to tell some secret or to share some secret or to cast some spell. And there seems to be like this kind of odd, adult depending on the kids and this intimacy. It's starting to feel a little creepy, okay? Other things, that I'm recognizing, and this goes back to that, Lindsay Lohan's Saturday Night Live Harry Potter skit I keep mentioning in these reviews. But there does, and I guess that the kids who watched these movies at the time that grew up with these Harry Potter movies, I'm assuming this is like an inside joke or an inside thing. But there is like kind of this weird, love triangle kind of brewing between the three kids, Ron, and I can never say her name, Halaya or Alaya. What's her character's name? Emma Watson, Hermione. Sorry, I'm not trying to disrespect the character. It's just a hard name for me to pronounce. Hermione. I just had tooth work last week. Maybe that's why. But basically, Harry, Hermione, and Ron have this odd love triangle brewing, it seems. And there was a pivotal point in this one where in the initial scene of, spoiler, in case you haven't seen this 2004 movie, where like the big owl or the big fucking bird is going to get chopped up by the executioner, and little Hermione kind of cuddle fucks up to Ron. Like she gives Ron like kind of like a bride would give her husband, or more so like a girlfriend would give a boyfriend when you still like each other, a big side hug, like a side, protect me. And then fucking Harry swoops in, and Harry kind of like puts his hands on her, and it's like, I was uncomfortable. Like I really felt like, Harry, you're kind of third wheel in here, pal. Like what's going on? Like this is just not, like she's putting herself in Ron's arms, which is an interesting choice. And I started to think, well, maybe like Hermione, she kind of views Harry like out of her realm. She's seeing him as like he's like the chosen one. He's like the golden child. He's the messiah of magicians. So she just wants a regular schmuck that she can cuddle with. And is that just Ron, who I think was well described in one of these movies as like, red-haired and blank-faced or something like that. Like that's what one of the bad guys called him. I think what's his dick's father, the blonde guy's, the evil whatever the fuck Serpentine's father called him like blank-faced and red-haired. But anyway, so Ron's getting the girl, and then Harry's left to like kind of cuckoo on her arms, really creepily. Like, hey, dude, give it up. Like, step back. But Ron is more concerned about his fucking rat. So I'm like, what the hell's going on around here? Like, Ron is emotionally stunted. He can't deal with the affections of a beautiful young woman his own age, and he's hanging out with a rat. I just didn't quite get it. I didn't understand that. And meanwhile, Harry's kind of canoodling on her. So it just felt very odd. And I'm just guessing that, like I said, the Harry Potter fan world has probably laughed about this for 25 years, which I do kind of wish I had seen that in real time because it's funny. And then, like I said, going back to that infamous, if you haven't seen it, the Lindsay Lohan SNL skit from whenever the fuck. It was very funny. So I keep thinking about this in reference to these films. What else? I just got very confused in this one. I will admit that, like, my sleep schedule is off, my sugar is off, everything is off with me. I did probably take a 15-minute little nap, and the theater was packed. There was like people sitting right next to me, like someone in the chair immediately to my right. It seemed like a mother and daughter team that were there to see the movie, and I was just tired, man. But I think I only missed like 10 minutes or so. But the whole deal with like, this is Harry's godfather, this is the other guy. Like these are his dead father's pals, and this one of them's a werewolf, and one of them is a whatever the fuck. It got to be very, and then the other guy that had been pretending to be the rat was Peter Poundstone or whatever the fuck, who was in the room. I just couldn't follow it. And once again, my running theme through all these is this, the man that we do not name was once again named several times, and there never seems to be any repercussions for naming this guy. Like, you're not supposed to say his name, you're not supposed to say his name, but people do, and nothing happens. So what the fuck? So I just don't know. Like I said, the special effects were great. I mean, the movie, I guess it's 20 years old already, but it looks like a movie that definitely could be released today. The movie looks great. I don't know if for this re-release, if they've done anything special or not, but I did enjoy it. I just felt like we're kind of loading up, and I didn't read any of these novels. I didn't sit there and read a fucking J.K. Rowling novel when I was in 8th grade or whatever the fuck you were supposed to do. Because I don't know, if the movies are as good as the books, I don't give a fuck. I'm just watching the movies. So, I thought it was entertaining. I do feel like, am I necessarily looking forward to going tomorrow night? I don't really think so. But I did put a little, challenge in my action. I did sign up for some of these movies, and I think tomorrow might be the first one of these, the D-box seat, where like you sit in the chair and it kind of rock and rolls. So I think tomorrow is the first one of those for me. I think I signed up for that twice during this run. I actually don't even like the D-box seats very much. I like that it exists. And the first time I had one of those chairs was for a Liam Neeson movie. But I do find that I end up not liking it as much as I want to. And every time I think I'm going to like it, or I think, oh, it'd be cool to see this, whatever the fuck movie, it's never as much fun as I think it would be. You know what I mean? I think it's just because I want to concentrate on the film, and the rocking and the rolling, it jilts my attention away from the content of the film. Like, I become like, oh, I'm, rocking around, but who gives a fuck? I'm trying to watch a movie. Oh my God. And especially, I mean, these movies are long, folks. What else? I don't know. I mean, I had a good time. I mean, the theater, I gotta say, it seems like a lot of people were on my train of thinking here in the state of Florida, USA. Like the school children have been back in school since mid-August, and now it's late August. So I think this was kind of like a thing that the parents, like a lot of them signed their kids up for these movies as a reward, like, hey, go back to school. And I guess in some regard, like seeing these Hogwarts movies, does that make the kids seeing these movies happy to be back in their school systems? Maybe. Like I said, it's fine. I think of the three experience, and once again, I mean, the Godfather guy who was was he trying to kill Harry or not? And then Harry throws his wand magic at Spate or Snape. But what happens to Snape at the end? Does he get injured? Is he dead? I'm drinking this. They should give me sponsorship, but the Olipop is very nice. And anyway, in any event, folks, I did have a good time, and I'm just trying to think if I have any other wonderful insights or perspectives. The opening scene, I mean, is this going to happen for every movie that we see Harry dealing with his evil aunt and his evil uncle, and his evil cousin didn't have much to do this time? He's kind of afraid of Harry at this point because of the whole deal with the snake issue and the pigtail. But they had the evil aunt who's not even a blood relative of Harry. This is Harry's mother's sister's husband's sister. So sort of, I guess, an aunt of sorts, or not even, an aunt-in-law, I guess. But she's a real bitch, and Harry really enjoys putting the magic on people that deserve it. Harry, now wasn't Radcliffe who played fucking Batman, or was it the guy from the Twilight movies? I'm confusing myself. I have that confused. Who's the guy from the Twilight movies, the vampire guy? That's not Radcliffe. They're two different guys. But which one played Batman 2 years ago? I'm getting very confused with all these people. But in any regard, blowing up the aunt and making her a balloon was funny. Oh yeah, there was like even in the last movie with the stuff with the car and Ron and Harry. I did think at the time, but I didn't mention it in my review. It felt like Back to the Future 2, you know, and this movie that really felt like a page out of the Back to the Future 2 rule book where you go back in time and stuff. But Hermione is using the power of time travel to get to class on time. That seems like an abuse of power. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, she's so studious. You think she could get to class on time without using fucking time travel? And what is she doing with that extra time? You know what I mean? Like she's a 13-year-old kid. In theory, what is she doing with that time? So anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say about this one. I don't know. I didn't really like the title. I think like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's a bad title. I mean, it's just the word prisoner is not really a good title fucking word, and Azkaban that probably nobody can pronounce is not a good title. Also, first time I guess Alfonso Cuarón directed this thing instead of Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus was like the big box office director guy of like the 90s and the early 2000s. I'm not sure why he passed the torch to this Alfonso individual. That does seem to be a power move among directors. Like when you get to be so goddamn powerful, you don't even direct your own movie. You just produce and you let some lemming fucking direct, like some lemming do the real work. And I've dealt with people who've done that. Like I've dealt with friends who've directed films and they get to a certain point where they think, oh, I'll just produce and someone else can direct. It's such a dick move and it never works out. So anyway, folks, that's it. That's my take on this Harry Potter movie and so forth. So that's it. Yeah, I want to end the streaming.